Hello and welcome into another edition of the PHNX D-Backs podcast right here on another Flavoring Friday. A big ski to you all. And of course, shout out to our friends from OG's Brands, the official sponsor of Flavoring Fridays. Head on over to ogsbrands.com to see their full lineup, including their two newest gummies and my favorite, the Big OGs, as well as the OG's Naturals, and find out where you can purchase said OGs. Well, I, of course, am your mayor of PHNX, occasionally known as Derek Montilla. This is your vice mayor, your thunderstick, the one and only Jesse Friedman. Jesse, how is the lyrics to A Milli going? Have you had them recognized or all memorized yet?
I'm working on it.
Yeah,
I'm working on it.
It's a process. I mean, he's struggling because he's asking me what so much of it means, and then that causes a whole other conversation to happen. But we are very excited to be joined by Erik Kratz from Foul Territory. Our buddies over there at Foul Territory are always doing fun things. He will be here shortly. But in the meantime, we did have another top 10 ranking for an Arizona Diamondback.
Yes.
This time it was MLB top 10 rankings of first baseman, and it is our very own Christian Walker appearing on this list. Christian Walker, according to MLB Network, as we've discussed with their other rankings this week, he comes in at 9th for first baseman in baseball. You have Freddie Freeman for the Dodgers at number 1, Bryce Harper 2, Matt Olson from the Braves 3, old friend Paul Goldschmidt at 4, Yandy Diaz from the Rays at 5, Pete Alonso at 6, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at 7, Brandon Belt, really? At 8 as a free agent? Really? At 8? Christian Walker at 9, and Tristan Casas from the Red Sox there at 10. I'm going to agree with Elise here. This list seems to be a little bit like a joke to me. Are we playing games? You're playing games with me now, MLB Network? Luckily, someone over there knows ball, Jesse, and that someone is Sarah Langs.
Yes. Sarah Langs came on the air during their show where they were unveiling this and gave her list and had Christian Walker at number 3, trailing only Freddie Freeman and who else? Oh, Matt Olson. It was just Freeman and Olson, and then it was Christian Walker at number 3. And I can understand why she did that, honestly. I think it's a pretty clear 1-2 with Olson and Freeman. Olson doesn't have the track record that Freeman does, but he had an outstanding 2023 season. The man just hit 54 home runs. He's certainly deserving of his respect. But yeah, after those top 2 guys, I think there's a lot of different directions that you could go. Including, I guess, Christian Walker. I think there's a case to be made. He was more valuable than Paul Goldschmidt in 2023. He was more valuable than Pete Alonso. He was more valuable than Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Brandon Belt.
He was, that one, I don't know what we're doing with that. Brandon Belt had an outstanding season with the Blue Jays as a platoon bat, and really more as a designated hitter than a first baseman. At least at this point, at least moving forward, I'm not sure how much first base you're necessarily going to want Brandon Belt to play. He can hold his own over there, but I'm not sure a team is really going to sign him to play first base all the time. And he's really a platoon bat. He doesn't really hit lefties at this point in his career. He also struck out like 35% of the time. And I don't think he's going to get paid like a ton in free agency. So having him ahead of Christian Walker did seem pretty outrageous to me. Walker should be higher on this list for sure, although it's open to debate. Like after those first 2 guys, I think Walker is he was more valuable than a lot of the guys above him in 2023. But, like if you want to put Pete Alonso higher on the list than Christian Walker, I think we can all at least understand where that's coming from. Alonso had a bit of a down year by his standards in 2023, but has certainly been one of the best first basemen in the game for a while.
I want to point out that not only is it Sarah Langs, but it's also Elizabeth and Elise in the chat, and that women know ball. See, because they are laughing at this list, and it's right to laugh at this list, but. You're right. I mean, I think the one thing here that kind of irks me about it is the fact that Christian Walker is such a superior defender to so many of those first basemen.
And people are not realizing that.
And they're not taking that into consideration. That's absurd because I know first base is one of those positions where you're kind of an unsung hero. You do things quietly without notice, and for the most part, when you're doing your job and you're being a good defender over there at first base, you're just getting outs. You're doing what you're supposed to, right? Like,
yeah,
it's not you tend not to make the same spectacular plays you might see out of a third baseman or a shortstop and things like that. But it doesn't mean that the Diamondbacks would be absolutely lost without Christian Walker over there and his contributions on the defensive side of the ball. He has been an outstanding defender, not only this year, but year after year. He has been one of the best defenders. I believe in 2022, he led he was close to leading all of baseball in outs above average. So, I mean, he's just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, over the last 2 seasons in Fangraphs WAR, Christian Walker is 5th. Trailing only Freddie Freeman, Paul Goldschmidt, who, of course, that would include his 2022 MVP season,
right.
Matt Olson. Yandy Diaz has put together a couple of really nice seasons offensively. He's not the defender that Christian Walker is. But, yeah, I mean, there's a pretty decent drop-off between Christian Walker and Pete Alonso. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is not near the top of this list, frankly. I think there is a very real case, as much as Vladdy Jr. has, certainly has the name cred that, Christian Walker doesn't. But looking at the numbers, I think there's a very valid case to put Christian Walker higher than Vlad Jr. on this list. Bryce Harper is an interesting case. He hasn't been a first baseman for very long. I think from a value standpoint, Christian Walker, I think, was more valuable in the regular season. But Bryce Harper was coming back from injury. I think you expect to get more offensively from Bryce Harper than Christian Walker moving forward. So I would at least understand putting Harper above Walker.
We do have breaking news, by the way, that does impact the Diamondbacks and does impact the NL West. Do we have the Espo breaking news sounder? Is that around right now? I feel like I can't move on to breaking news until we have that, but I don't know. Is that around? No,
I don't see it in there.
Dang it. Anyway, I'll do it. Wee. Breaking news. Jeff Passan tweeted out 13 minutes ago that star closer Josh Hader has officially signed a deal with the Houston Astros, taking him as far away from us as we possibly can get for right now. At least they signed him to a 5-year, $95 million contract, according to a source that told ESPN. So the deal does contains no deferrals. It is the largest present-day value contract for a relief pitcher in baseball history.
Not too surprising. I think Edwin Diaz, the raw number was higher, but with the deferrals, I think his was worth like $94 million or something in present-day value. So yeah, Josh Hader gets more than that, and I don't know how I feel about paying a relief pitcher, $100 million over 5 years. It didn't work out great for the Mets. Not really Edwin Diaz's fault necessarily, but there's a ton of risk in this. But granted, Josh Hader, if you're going to take a risk like that, he's been about as consistent as I think you reasonably could. But at the same time, he also had an ERA of like 5 with the Padres just a couple years ago. So relievers are just going to be volatile. And even the guys like Hader, who are, at the top of the list in terms of their ability to get swing and miss and, just dominated in a year-to-year basis, they're going to have some volatility too. So I'm not sure that if I were the GM of a team, if I'd really want them to be making this investment, but it certainly bolsters that Astros bullpen and makes an already very good team even a little bit better.
Josh Hader had a 1.28 ERA in 2023 with 33 saves. He had a WHIP of 1.101 and a WAR of 2.4. So, I mean,
it's really crazy numbers from a closer.
You just don't get numbers like that from a pitcher at all anymore. So I think that's the reason why you do pay for a guy like that, because you want to close the end of games down. And I'm sure the Astros saw too many slip away last year, especially after their stellar, starting pitchers at times got them so far. And again, this is another case of those teams that are still, like the Dodgers, like the Astros, even though they're able to win 100 games, or even if they're able to win and get into the playoffs, they're still seeking ways to get more powerful and seeking ways to get back and win that World Series. I don't know though. I mean, this seems like like a lot of money. It's just a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
Can't believe it. But anyway, we do appreciate you guys being here and knowing ball, by the way, in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to do so now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our wonderful shows go live. If you're listening on the audio podcasting side, make sure to leave us a review. We appreciate those 5-star reviews. Make sure you subscribe there. As Gabby would say, drop us a like. We appreciate you always doing that as well. And of course, we also appreciate our friends over at Empire Today for being one of the best in the business when it comes to not only shopping at home, but getting things right for your home flooring needs. It's a great time of the year to do some renovations. I'm forced to do some renovations myself. I broke my shower this morning, so I have to turn the water off on my home, and I'm experiencing there was a whole cascading series of unfortunate events that happened after I broke my shower this morning, including I almost stabbed my goddamn eye out with a plant trying to pick up tools on the ground from trying to fix my shower. Right?
How is that even possible?
Jesse. It was an amazing series of events. This is the reason why I don't do any of these home repairs myself. I'm not qualified to do so. And do you want an unqualified person doing your home repairs or installing your floor? Don't do that. Go through Empire Today. They service their own warranties. They let you shop at home conveniently. They have their virtual floor designer that lets you shop and see what the flooring that you pick out will look like in your home in any space. And that's what's important. You don't want to go to a showroom and try to find stuff there. You want to see how it looks with your paint on the walls, what your room looks like. And Empire Today has you covered with that. You can schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive $350 off when they use promo code PHNX. Restrictions do apply. See empiretoday.com/PHNX for details. And of course, BetMGM is always a great way to make sports more fun. You can get down on some future bets right now for Major League Baseball. You can also get $158 in bonus bets for absolutely free just by signing up as a new customer and using our code of PHNX. All you have to do is download the app on iOS or Android or visit betmgm.com. Sign up with our promo code. That's PHNX, as Eric would say, the 4 best letters in the alphabet. And once you do, you just deposit $5 into your newly created account and spend that amount or more on a bet at a standard odds price. Once you do, you will receive $158 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your wager. Again, all you got to do is sign up for BetMGM and use that bonus code of PHNX. Place your first sportsbook wager through the mobile application for at least $5. You will receive $158 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Damon say the disclaimer way too fast.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms. This promotional offer is not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. We're not doing that.
I'm not over the loss of Ontario.
Yeah, well, I know. See, what a great way it would have been to end Ontario being part of that disclaimer by doing our road trip to Ontario. All the Ontarios. We were going to go to all the Ontarios, and then we found out they're very far apart, and I don't think that road trip.
Now we'll just have to go to all the Puerto Ricos.
I guess we'll have to go to all the Puerto Ricos. Let's go. Coquito, Mofongo, Tostones. Let's go.
I'm so sad that now I have to take a tropical beach vacation instead of going to Ontario,
California, and then Ontario, Canada. By the way, that's also not very pleasant. But
don't be hating on Canada like that.
That's true. Canada's beautiful.
Leah's gonna be mad at you.
You're right.
Jesse, are you aware of the weather in Ontario, Canada at this moment in time?
I mean, I'm not saying we should go now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wouldn't want to go now. But I'll tell you where a great place to be right now is, Jesse, here in Phoenix, Arizona, or more importantly in Scottsdale, Arizona, where it's very beautiful. The weather is very nice, and you have people that miss out on all of this. I did want to say hello to Joey. Joey says, ski, first-time message, but daily watcher. Great job, guys. Let's go, Joey. Glad to have you here. And, of course, we had Jesse Friedman out enjoying the weather, by the way. He got to go out to the Diamondbacks Celebrity Golf Classic. Is that what it was called? Something like that?
Yep, that is
Did I nail the word?
It.
It's a generic title, so it's easy for me to mess up. But not very generic was the things that Zac Gallen had to say. Very interesting. You got caught up with Gallen. Who else was out there? Alec Thomas.
We talked with Alec Thomas. We talked with Pavin Smith, Ryan Thompson, Tommy Henry.
T-Tom.
So, yeah, it was fun. It's the best part is asking everyone how confident they are in their golf swing. Is for as confident as some of these guys are as athletes, they're not necessarily confident in all sports. It turns out. Alec Thomas basically said that all of the outfielders are just terrible at golf. He suggested that he was probably the best, although that wasn't saying much. He said that Corbin Carroll is solid, like maybe below 100. But the Jake McCarthy is like basically never golfed in his life, and is pretty rough. So
I love dishing the dirt on who's good and who's bad. I also love the fact that these guys play a game that's kind of actually similar to golf, but then they're bad at it. That's kind of ironic, is it not?
That's fair.
Swinging and hitting a ball, right? But this one's stationary, and you're having a harder time doing that than a baseball that's 100 miles per hour.
Like, I have a decent baseball swing, and my golf swing, it might be the worst thing that anyone's ever seen.
Is there a correlation there? Is it the fact that you're not supposed to baseball swing when you golf, and it's so hard to take yourself out of that mindset?
I slice everything opposite way.
Yeah.
Which is like similar to my baseball swing. So I think I'm like hitting it with the inside face of the club, like angled.
Yeah. I've told this story a few times. I'm sure I've told it on the show before. But I've definitely had my fair share of advice given to me. And some of that advice has been very odd, including one time I was told to stick my ass out like someone twerking. Crazy enough, that was like
the key to success.
It was the best piece of advice I have ever been given. Okay, I'm very rigid, so I guess I needed to do that. But we are going to talk about Zac Gallen's very interesting comments that he made that should please a lot of you here shortly. But of course, we are also excited to be joined today by a very special guest, Jesse.
Yes.
We made friends over the playoffs with our guys from Foul Territory over there who do an absolutely outstanding job of covering Major League Baseball. In fact, I get a little jealous of how incredible their guest list is at times, Jesse.
Yes, very star-studded.
It makes us need to step our game up, of course.
Well, if they're going to have you on the show, then their ability to get guests must be top notch.
Yeah, Jesse, by the way, when I appeared on Foul Territory, the first person I received a message from was Jesse Friedman, who basically put up the graphic of the three guests that day and asked, what business do you have being?
It was Ken Rosenthal
lineup?
And Derek Montilla were next to each other on a graphic, and I was disgusted.
When you think of baseball, you think Ken Rosenthal, and then you think Derek Montilla.
Yeah,
of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the way this goes. But I know when I think baseball, I think of our guys over at Foul Territory. We're very excited to be joined by Erik Kratz from Foul Territory. What's up, my man? How you doing?
What's up, guys? I'm doing great. We just went a little late on the show. We're breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news
with the hater signing. So
yeah,
we had that going on. So sorry, I hopped on
no worries. Glad to have you. Appreciate it. And we were just talking about that as well. We're very excited to have him out of the NL West. So that very much that pleases us as far as not having to deal with that threat.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean I love that dude as a man, as a teammate, as a player. But if you are needing to face him when you're trying to win a 4-3 game in the desert, he's not the guy you want on the other side.
Yeah, right. Oh, and I mean, that really changes things for the Astros because I know that they've, had their issues with relief pitching and trying to get somebody of him, of anywhere close to his caliber to be in their closing games for them. So I think they're going to be a problem in 2024 for sure.
Definitely a problem, especially with the fact that they already have one of the elite postseason closers in Ryan Presley. And Brian Abreu hasn't given up a run since Nam. And Rafael Montero, I know he had a bad year last year, but his ability is still there. Now, all of a sudden, this team, I just got done saying it twice on our show. I said, this might actually be, because it's completely out of the norm for Jim Crane to do this. It was tear down the team, the whole rebuild, tanking stuff, build it up to what they have been and what we know the Astros as now. But now it's time. They don't have a farm system. They don't have the young guys, but they still have a really good team. So to me, this signifies to Tucker. This signifies to Yordan, who already got an extension. This signifies to Bregman and Altuve, who's looking for an extension. Bregman's going to be a free agent, saying, hey, you know what, guys? we're still going all in for this. This isn't a 1 year, like, huge money pickup. This is 5 years of an elite closer and most likely 2 more years of Presley. But I know the D-backs fans aren't looking to talk about the
No. Like I said, we're happy he's out of here. So we'll listen for as long as you want to talk about that. But I mean, it is kind of one of those situations like what the Diamondbacks went through when they acquired Paul Sewald, right? Like for them, adding that closer completely changes the dynamic of that bullpen and allows other guys to maybe know what their role is and be even more dangerous. It felt like when the Diamondbacks did that with Sewald, obviously that's kind of where things turned around for this team, especially like the free fall that they were in there in July. But I guess, our first question to you is, to what extent did you buy into the Diamondbacks in their playoff run and seeing them, especially once they were able to get past the wild card and go beyond? I'll start off with saying we didn't have very much confidence. We were just happy that they were, in the playoffs, and we were happy that they got past the Brewers. Like that felt right there, like we had already achieved enough to be satisfied with. But did you see something different about this team?
I didn't. I had like everybody else. They were down 2-0 to the Phillies, showed no life, showed no ability to get out. You had Brandon Pfaadt going in game 3. To me, that is who changed this whole series around, because we were waiting for a long time to see what the Diamondbacks were in the playoffs. And the Diamondbacks in the regular season were good pitching, solid defense, base running galore. And we go into the postseason, it's like, just don't know. I don't know if that's going to play here. And they were like, okay, you don't know if it's going to play? That's fine. We'll just hit some dingers. And we'll hit more dingers. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, like we can hit dingers and we can run the bases. I saw a lot of even before they played the Phillies, I saw a lot of correlations through the wild card, through the Dodgers series, to the fact that they're going there and they're saying, you know what, we're just going to play our game. Oh, and we hit some dingers off of Corbin Burns. Oh, we held Mookie Betts to 1 hit. And the correlation for me was the team that I was on, the 2014 Royals.
Yeah.
We had a really good team. And all of a sudden, we go into L.A., we face the Angels. Mike Trout, he hit a dinger. That's it. Mike Trout was not a factor in that series. Albert Pujols was not a factor in that series. Same thing as they did to Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. Not a factor.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you start hitting dingers, and all of a sudden turn around and the team you thought was going to win. This is why I think some teams are reticent to spend money to just get to the postseason.
Yeah.
And this is the exact opposite reason I think you should spend money, because when you get to the postseason, then it's time to win. And the Diamondbacks personified that year, and I was super excited to watch them play.
Does that, because we have discussed that they were never in a position where I think anybody believed that they were going to win, right? They were kind of in the underdog position the entire playoffs, and it felt like it allowed them to not feel that same pressure. Is that kind of what happened with that Royals team, where you're like, it can almost reverse the pressure because, hey, we're no one's giving us a chance anyway, so it really does put it more on the team that quote unquote is supposed to win versus the other team?
I think maybe at different parts of the game, but believe me, in 2014, I didn't even get in a postseason game. We lost in Game 7 to the Giants. Well, not to the Giants, to Madison Bumgarner, but to the team that Madison Bumgarner played on. And I never got in a single game. So you talk about, people will say, because I'm getting roasted for something I said on our show today already, but you say, wow, well, you weren't even in the game. You don't know about pressure. You feel that pressure.
Yeah.
You feel the pressure. Yeah. But there's never a disbelief. Like, you think you're going to beat the Dodgers. You think you're going to beat – you have confidence in Zac Gallen. You have confidence in Corbin Carroll being an MVP candidate in your lineup. And you sit there and you go, like, if you look back, if before the series you would have said, yeah, you know what, Zac Gallen's not going to pitch well and Corbin Carroll's not going to get any big hits in the Phillies series, I'm pretty sure you're probably going to get ousted. Yeah. But Carroll hit that rocket I think it was against Corbin Burns in the Brewers series. And you sit there and you go, that's how this team has to win. But if you told me that they were going to lose their Merrill Kelly start and their Zac Gallen start to start the series, I would have been like, what kind of money are we getting?
They're done. They're cooked.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think Diamondbacks fans would be honest, and I think even players would be honest, but you never lose that conviction that you are the better team. And so the pressure is still there. Like the pressure is what it is in the playoffs. You're grinding. You're grinding through, like you're like, whoa, baby. But once you get into it, it all goes away. When you get into it and you're playing, when you're sitting on the bench for an entire playoffs, yeah, you're panicked.
Erik, I know you mentioned earlier Brandon Pfaadt and how big he was for the Diamondbacks throughout the postseason. Big narrative for them throughout the playoffs was, although Pfaadt stepped up, they had 3 starters, but they didn't really have 4 starters. Of course, this offseason they go out, they get Eduardo Rodriguez. They've made a couple of other moves. What's your perspective on what they've been able to do this offseason so far?
I mean, how many teams actually use their 4th starter? When it comes into a series, you sit there and you go, do we really need 4 starters? To get through a season, you need 4 starters.
Yeah.
To set yourself up to be a healthy team, to be a healthy Paul Sewald, there is a direct correlation to how long your starters can go. I don't mean just one guy. I don't mean 2 guys. I mean all 5 of your guys. How many innings are they taking up? And it's takes too long to explain, but if you look at it this way, Zac Gallen's going to give you 7. Okay? Merrill Kelly can give you 6. Brandon Pfaadt, to me, his new repertoire, what Brent Strom and him have unlocked for him since he's gotten called back up, is elite, and I think he can be a 6 guy. If Eduardo Rodriguez can be a 6-inning guy, now all of a sudden you only, in those 4 games, I don't know who's going to slot in at number 5, but in those 4 games, you only have to pick up 11 innings.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, now if you bring in somebody that's not Eduardo Rodriguez, you bring in a 1-year kind of contract, a guy who's more of a 5 and dive kind of guy. Brandon Pfaadt doesn't make. Now all of a sudden, each week, each 5 days, each cycle through the rotation, you're picking up an extra 2 innings. And that wears on your bullpen. That is 2 other guys that need to throw. They don't get those days off. So all that to say, the Eduardo Rodriguez signing is huge. And I love, love, love that for the Diamondbacks because they saw value in him and they said, we're going to strike. This is a guy, he's a consistent number 3.
Yeah.
And that is huge, especially if Pfaadt can be the number 3 to have a true 1, a true 2, and 2 3s. Whoa, that's awesome.
Yeah, we agree. We were very excited about that. And the Diamondbacks have been interested in Erod for a while, so it was great that they were able to get that done. Another big move that changed this team was acquiring Gabriel Moreno through their trade with the Toronto Blue Jays at the beginning of the year. And he's become a fan favorite. We love Gabby here in the Valley. And obviously he quickly became a huge piece of why this team was able to get as far as they did. But what were your thoughts on Gabriel Moreno's emergence this year and kind of how he became the guy behind the plate for us?
Ditto. Yes. Everything that you just said. I have loved this guy since I heard about him in the minor leagues, to the point where the guy who was telling me he was a catching coordinator with another organization, and he was telling me this dude is going to be the real deal. So when I saw he was in the trade for somebody who I also think is the real deal, he had a down year. Yeah. That Dalton Varsho was a huge loss for the Diamondbacks.
Oh, yeah.
But what Dalton Varsho brought to the team, I think the Diamondbacks have not duplicates of Dalton Varsho because he's elite in what he does, but they have the ability to be coached to be able to do the things that Dalton Varsho did. Anyway, Gabriel Moreno is an elite player in the sense that he doesn't try to do too much. Yes, he can hit the ball out of the ballpark. He's not going to hit you 40 dingers, okay? He can control the running game. Absolutely. People are going to say, well, besides the Diamondbacks, not many people steal. It still means something. But what he did behind the plate was what pushed this team the whole way. That work with Brent Strom, that work with, I'm not sure what other coaches he worked with to get those pitchers through. And you got to give credit to the pitchers too, because they're working with a young up and coming catcher who hasn't had all that experience.
Right.
But you never saw them show him up. You saw there was a lot of respect there in his game calling, in his conversations, all that stuff. What I really like about him, and this is how you differ to, I think, if I remember right, he started to kind of get beat a little bit, and he wasn't, having this success. And even during the Phillies series, he was driving a lot of balls to right field. There's so many RBIs in right field. And to me, a batter who wants to get his RBIs and actually has the ability to change his approach and do it, those are winning players, because they're looking to give up the fact that, a dinger would be awesome. Everybody's going to remember his foul homer, and then and the next one that was an actual homer. Like, how many times did that happen? Yeah. Everyone's going to remember that. But to me, I remember the base hits to right field, the nail in the coffin to put the game away, the dagger that you're like, I just got through this part of the lineup, and now Evan Longoria still waiting. Like, we could have pitched around. Yeah. Moreno to get to somebody else who was struggling, and to me, I see that, and people are going to roast me for saying this, but I saw that early with Yadier Molina. I'm not saying he's Yadier Molina, because Yadier Molina is a Hall of Famer, but I'm saying
please do.
He's
please
better.
Do.
He's better than Yadier Molina.
I will. That was your comments, not mine. But I saw it early. Yadi, when he came up, they were both young. I think Yadi was much younger than Gabriel, but you're not fully grown.
Yeah.
I get it. You're an adult at 22, 23 years old, but you're not fully grown into your baseball strength or your baseball ability to be able to take advantage and just, whack a ball at the ballpark. But if you're able to stay within yourself, go to the opposite field, elevate a pitch to the right center field gap, I see Gabriel Moreno doing that. And to me, that sets a team up when you are strong up the middle. Who plays center field for the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Yeah.
Alex Thomas,
Right. Who plays shortstop for the Arizona Diamondbacks? Maybe a little in flux, but you have Jordan Lawler coming up, and he'll be the guy. But you have strong middle with Gabriel Moreno, Alec Thomas, and then you have your Corbin Carroll MVP year in and year out candidate in right field.
Yeah. And you're right, because Gabriel Moreno used to hit that ball to right field so often that the local broadcast team started calling it Gabby Lane, right? Just because it was like, it was almost the same all the time, like those infield singles up the middle, right? Or, the right field. But he just became a consistent part of this team when, I felt like what you said, when it came to that trade, not often do you trade your position player with the highest WAR and have it be a success for you. And it ended up being good for both teams because each team had a surplus of that position, right? They have some amazing catchers in Toronto that who knows when Moreno was going to see, as much playing time as he deserved to see. And the Diamondbacks just have a ton of talented young outfielders that make it hard to not, do something like that. But it really, it was just serendipitous because they ended up losing, Carson Kelly for a large amount of the season. And, Gabriel Moreno comes in. Not only does he step up and become that guy behind the plate for them, but he made it so that Carson Kelly became expendable, considering that Moreno was their guy now,
Yep. 100%. I completely agree. And some people could say, well, why wasn't Gabriel Moreno just automatically slotted in? That is a hard position to slot in a young player. Don't ever get it twisted. What Adley Rutschman is doing over in Baltimore is elite. That's like Buster Posey type stuff. So don't fault the Diamondback coaches for not just slotting him in right away. It's like, why do we have that bum Carson Kelly? Because Carson Kelly knows what he's doing back there because he has experience. Yeah.
Right. Erik, I want to ask just about foul territory. You guys are kind of the new cool kids on the block, and all of us are very intrigued at what you have going on. It's been a lot of fun just kind of watching you guys grow over the last few months. How did you get involved, and how did this whole thing start?
Yeah, I appreciate saying that, man. That's the first time I've ever been called the cool kid.
Yeah.
I am always like the last one, like, hey, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing over there? But no, it's something that's been super. It was kind of the brainchild of Scott Braun and Mark Weiner. They have such a knowledge of the landscape, what it is to put out baseball content, and both of them working at the MLB Network forever and being top players over there and seeing where this is going, seeing where people digest their content, whether it is from baseball to football to dogs doing funny tricks. Like they're getting their content. Nobody pulls up your remote and goes, gee, I wonder what kind of funny tricks dogs are doing on cable.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that. You're picking up your Instagram, you're picking up your Twitter, kids are picking up TikTok. And to me, what intrigued me about it, other than the fact that I needed a job and I didn't want to go coaching because that would take me away from my family, intrigued me about it is I was afforded so much in baseball. I was afforded an opportunity to play at the big league level, to play in the minor leagues for 13 years, and really to play a game my whole life. And I see baseball falling behind football and basketball, and I don't think it should. I love the game of baseball, and I don't think it is sold the way it should be sold to the younger crowd. Yes. You guys doing this show, people can hop on, boom, they can have it on their phone, hop on. They don't need this whole like subscription plan and scheduling. And to me, one of the coolest things, and I know the guys will probably be like, what? Why is that the coolest thing? For me, you sell the game to the younger crowd. And our ratings in TikTok for baseball content on TikTok are some of the highest out there. And that demographic is 16 to 23-year-olds. Yeah. And that is the younger crowd that, to me, needs to see baseball. And we're not being scandalous or like, tons of fart jokes, as much as I love a fart joke.
Oh, but fart jokes are great.
we're bringing the players to the fans, which everybody wants a connection.
Right.
And baseball has so many cool personalities. And so this show affords us to show. We had Davis Schneider on our show, which we had Aaron Boone on the same show today. Like, these are people that we get an opportunity to show fans you have a connection with Davis Schneider because he's from New Jersey. You have a connection with Aaron Boone because he's a family guy who lives up in Connecticut. Everybody has a connection, and the show has afforded this opportunity. I'm super blessed to see how it's grown, but I want it to grow more so that it really can continue to prop up our game of baseball and help it grow. Not just prop it up, but just help it grow.
No, I appreciate that about you guys so much. And again, it was kind of our mission statement as well. Like, we wanted to help build a community around a team here in the Valley that didn't really feel like it had good options for things like this. And again, like, I loved baseball so much when I was a kid, and we didn't even have a team here. When I lived here in Arizona, we didn't have a team. So I was like a free agent watching, baseball, other teams, and liking just individual players and just watching highlights on Sports Center and all of that stuff. And like, I don't really feel like, it's a kid's game. It's a game that as a kid, you can definitely like and enjoy and feel like you gravitate towards these players. And I like you said, I think that the players are so interesting and they don't necessarily get a platform at times to show off their true personalities like they do. But we thank you for doing it, and we love you guys. We appreciate it so much. Thank you for stopping by, and make sure to follow Erik on Twitter, and also make sure to check out Foul Territory as well. Foul Territory at Foul Territory. There's also Fair Territory. Ken Rosenthal had to have his own thing.
Ken's an absolute beast. Ken's an OG, so he gets his own thing. You got to check out the Fair Territory because Ken does a really cool. The dude in the dork thing that he does is awesome. But we also have Brew Crew Territory where we do a Brewers show.
All right.
Which you guys kind of squashed the playoff hopes for the Brew Crew Territory.
Happily.
And we also do more of like a podcast version. The show, Foul Territory, is more like a show. And the podcast version, we do a Legends Territory where we interview a bunch of legends that, we've gone from, let's see, we've had Mark McGuire, we've had, I'm not sure Sheffield's not out yet, but we had Ryan Howard, we had if there's a legend out there, we have had him. Or
Jonathan Papelbon.
Jonathan Papelbon, we definitely had. We also had Pap when you were on, and he kind of stole your thunder a little bit, but that was vintage Pat.
I loved every minute of it, but make sure to follow them at Foul Territory TV on Twitter. Eric is at Erik Kratz 31.
I think the D-backs are maybe in the mix for some catching depth. So Eric, if you're interested in making a comeback,
we're looking for a backup catcher. By the way,
the D-backs might have some interest.
Just saying.
No. I have no interest. I tell people I did not retire. I quit. I was done playing. I could have physically played at a completely mediocre level like I did my entire career, but it's time to be home. So, and I'm having too much fun doing this too. So I got no desire. I'll help you find a backup catcher.
All right.
I'll call somebody and be like, hey, the Diamondbacks need somebody. I thought you guys should have picked up Jacob Stallings. I thought that was a solid Diamondbacks pickup that the Rockies were like, no, we'll take him and ruin a season of his career. Not trying to win, but I mean, I'm happy for him. But I thought he would be a great pickup for you guys. Winning player, awesome behind the dish, awesome dude, and he looks like my little brother.
Awesome. Well, this is why people come for you on Twitter, so we appreciate it, and we thank you so much for stopping by, man.
No doubt. Thanks for having me.
All right,
thanks,
see you,
Eric.
Oh, man, that was great. Make sure definitely check out Foul Territory, like you said, wherever you want to, because they are everywhere, and they're doing some incredible stuff. So
they've just grown like so quickly.
Yeah.
I remember a few months ago, we were like, oh, what is this Foul Territory thing? Yeah. This is kind of cool.
And then I was like, hey, they want me to be on it. And you were like, yeah. No, they don't.
That's when I started to question their legitimacy a little bit.
It went up and then back down a little bit.
We got to get Papelbon on this show.
Yeah, we'll get Pap on.
Like, we have to.
I think Papelbon was on the PHLY show like a couple days ago.
He was.
He was.
I wonder
how many, I don't really know.
How many drinks deep was he when he went on the
Jonathan Papelbon
show?
Doesn't exactly have any like clear Diamondbacks connections.
I won't make one. Me and him are like this.
Yeah,
what are you
the
talking
connection
about?
is that Derek and Jonathan Papelbon are best buds.
We're best friends.
Okay, all right. I guess I'm okay with that.
We need him like at least 6 whiskeys deep.
Oh yeah,
at least.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do like a drinking game off air beforehand, and then we'll have him on the show.
We could talk about rooster fighting and stuff.
Oh, you phrased that much differently than he phrased it on Foul Territory. Well done. That was just like Jesse's use of the word. What were you calling Phillies fans? Passionate. It was a good. It was a good word.
Passionate.
Anyway, if you're passionate about your sports fandom, I guess you could say, don't miss out on any sporting events, concerts, or shows. Check out Game Time today. You can get down on Game Time's aesthetically pleasing app. Get yourself some cheap last-minute tickets to whatever you want to go to. Don't have FOMO. You let FOMO, experience FOMO, and then let that drive you to Game Time and get yourself the best place for last-minute ticket deals. It's the fastest-growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. You can snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the app right now and create an account. Use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Also, check out Circle K if you want to fill up your tank. If you want to fill yourself up, there's some great food over there. It's America's Thirst Stop. You can also get yourself up to 25 cents off per gallon if you sign up for their Inner Circle membership reward program right now. It is absolutely free and will get you 25 cents off your first per gallon, by the way. Your first 5 fill-ups, you'll also save 3 cents off per gallon every fill-up after that. They already have cheap gas. This makes it even cheaper. And then you can go inside, get yourself some wonderful food, including the fact that Inner Circle app will allow you to get some freebies from our friends at Circle K. So join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details.
I was just there last night.
Yeah, what'd you get?
I got gasoline.
That's it. Just gasoline. That's my planned stop on the way. Like I said earlier, I was having a terrible day this morning. I was going to stop at Circle K and get gas on the way in. Ran out of time. Just like I ran out of time to shave because I was stuck for 45 minutes trying to fix a shower that I have no business attempting to fix. And I just eventually had to shut off the water to my house. That's how I fixed it. But
with my Inner Circle discount, it was the cheapest gas within
I made the mistake of trying to go to another gas station just because I thought that gas station for a store you have a membership to, wink, you know who I'm talking about, was going to be cheaper. And it wasn't. Circle K was cheaper. So make sure to stop by Circle K. But you did need to fill up your gas because you were out, like we said earlier, at the Diamondbacks Celebrity Golf Classic.
Yes.
And you got a chance to see all of our favorite guys, but most importantly, Zac Gallen, who is being recognized here in the Valley more often. That's fun. Apparently, Zac Gallen had to be asked if he was Zac Gallen, which, by the way, I received somebody messaging me on Twitter. I think it was our friend Brian, who asked me if this was Zac Gallen, and it was like so obviously not Zac Gallen. Like they wanted me to confirm if it was Zac Gallen.
Wait, someone like sent you a picture?
Sent me a photo of somebody and was like, "Hey, Derek, is this Zac Gallen?"
You're like the Zac Gallen identifier for people.
Apparently, well, Zac Gallen is the Zac Gallen identifier. This is what this poor man has to go to. He talked about being recognized more lately and not having to be asked if he's actually Zac Gallen.
Before it was like I was getting a lot more of like, "Are you Zac Gallen?" Like type of thing. Listen, it's the worst question for me to answer because I don't know how to like. Before it's like, "Nah, it's not me," because I just didn't know how to deal with it, and I still don't really know how to answer it. But now it's a lot more of like people know. I think they're just trying to be polite and respectful. And but yeah, it was for a good month there. It was anywhere we went, anytime we left the house. We went to the mall like a month ago, and we had a very interesting experience. I was a little scared of the mall for a little while. There was just a lot on the weekend. So it was. But I mean, it's fun. That's what you want. You want that to. That means you did something. You play well. People want to come and talk to you. And I'm pretty easy going, so I can talk to whatever. But yeah, it's it's not. It's definitely changed. Life has changed a little bit.
You know what it is? Like people can be okay about meeting a famous person, right? And so like, getting recognized in like a mall scenario, that's fine. It's the overwhelming nature of it. Like I have been with my WWE wrestler friends before, and we went from being anonymous people walking down the street to having like a crowd of 200 people following us down, because they saw him and they literally followed us like zombies, right? Like, when you reach that level of fame, it's almost kind of scary just because that's overwhelming to have like a group of people come at you and be like, Zac Gallen, right? Like that's kind of weird.
He does mention this. I have to know his mall story. He's talking about how they were like afraid to go to the mall for a while. So I need to ask him about that off the record and see what the story is there. But this is also something that came up during the postseason. I think during one of Brandon Pfaadt's pressers, he was asked, "Do you find yourself being recognized around town more?" And the answer was also yes. I think he talked about him and Ryan Nelson being out to dinner or something, and they were kind of shocked that someone came up to them and knew exactly who they were and wanted a picture or whatever. But that's what happens, Derek, when you're part of a baseball team that makes the kind of run that the Diamondbacks did. I remember, obviously this is my job and I cover the Diamondbacks, and then being in the World Series, made my life in October crazy, but also very enjoyable.
It did.
But I had a lot of people reaching out to me who are not even remotely baseball fans that, were dialed in, at least on some level to what the Diamondbacks were doing. And if you're dialed into the Diamondbacks, you know who Zac Gallen is. Like, you can't not know who Zac Gallen is if you're watching, how far this team was able to go in the playoffs.
That's why it's so important, and it's so important to capitalize on it, right? When it comes down to it, you live in a town where a team plays a regular season, and if they're bad for a number of years, it's easy to forget about them. It's easy not even to go to the regular season games or care about that, right? But we get fired up for the playoffs. I mean, we get fired up no matter what team it is. Like, the Mercury on the playoffs, let's go. I got to get out my Taurasi jersey. Like, we get pumped for this stuff. I remember going to Rattlers games and having it be the most insane atmosphere ever during the playoffs. So people come out, they want to get excited about a team, but it almost feels like sometimes the regular season is too much for the Arizona sports fan, right? Like, we're like, well, if you get there, I'll come. Kind of like a parent that doesn't want to come to the practices, but will be like, "Oh, I'll come to your game. That's fine." But I mean, it's interesting. I can confess that I think it was Ryan and Alec Thomas, and they were at the APS parade, and I walked past them, and Alec kind of saw me, and then I saw Alec, and Alec is a very recognizable person, but Ryan,
they were starstruck by you, not the other way around.
I might have just walked by Ryan, is what I'm saying. Like, sometimes, and I've met him before, I've talked to him before, and I was still like, after I got done talking to Alec, I was like, oh, hey, it's you, right? Like,
sure.
So it's like baseball players do live kind of a little bit of an anonymous life, right? Even though that they're not like football players where they're under a helmet, you just don't see their face. Like baseball players are just, they're one of 40 guys on a team, and it's not easy to keep track of all.
There's a lot more MLB players than there are like NBA players for sure.
But that's not the important question that we're here to talk about. We're not here to talk about Zac Gallen getting identified in Arizona. We are here to talk about Zac Gallen staying in Arizona. That is the question that was asked, and that is the question that we have the answer to, because even though we don't know anything more about Zac Gallen possibly signing an extension with his team, we do know we do know it sounds like he wants to.
Yeah. Here's what Zac Gallen had to say about his future potentially in Arizona.
Nothing that I know of, honestly. So I don't know. I can't speak for the other side. But like I said to you guys before, like I love Phoenix. I love it here. Especially after us having this success, and seeing that there's some energy here about baseball, and the fans, are proving that they want a winner here. I love it here. So yeah, I mean that's where I'm at. If they want to decide to do something, great. We'll sit down and figure it out and see what happens. But as of right now, nothing's been done.
What are we doing? What are we doing here? Open up the checkbook. Let's get the deal done, right? Let's just get this done. What is it going to take, Jesse? What were we saying? $210 million? That's not a lot. Yeah. That's not a lot of millions of dollars.
I think I mean, if you think about what Aaron Nola got, I think it was like 172. Aaron Nola's coming off a year in which he had a 4.5 ERA, right? So Zac Gallen's certainly worth more than that. I think 7.210 is fairly reasonable. My guess is that if you actually call Scott Boras right now, his ask is a heck of a lot higher than that. And Zac Gallen, frankly, I mean, you look at the starting pitchers who are set to hit the market over the next few years, there's not really anyone who's like more compelling than Zac Gallen. I know Corbin Burns is about to hit free agency. He's maybe in the same ballpark. Are you going to take this upon yourself?
Scott Boras' conversation is going to be something like did you say 300 million? No? Okay, well, we'll talk to you guys later.
I asked Scott, I've said this on the show before, but I did ask Scott about a potential Zac Gallen extension at the GM meetings a few months ago, and he didn't have a whole lot to share. He just talked about, the season that Zac Gallen had and how he was, busy recovering from the Diamondbacks World Series run and not thinking about that. I have never gotten any indication that there have been conversations about this. I'm sure it's something the Diamondbacks have thought about internally, but as of right now, we haven't heard anything about them approaching Scott Boras about an extension. And, there's certainly some precedent here with Boras wanting his clients to go to free agency. So it continues to be a tricky situation where it's still a little hard for me to imagine Zac Gallen signing long-term with the Diamondbacks, but you can see he clearly enjoys being a member of the Diamondbacks. And I think it's genuine. I really do.
Yeah.
He was asked a follow-up question as well. Did seeing the fans kind of come out during the playoffs, did that even increase your desire to come back? Because Zac has kind of always spoken positively of his time here, but he was asked if that had kind of taken it to another level, and he said yes. He said, yeah, I mean, there's clearly a market for this here if we're able to build a team that contends consistently, something that the Diamondbacks really haven't ever managed to do going back to the early days of the franchise. So he wants to be here. Whether it gets done continues to be a pretty big question.
I understand it. I get it. And I don't think a lot of information is going to be revealed. One thing that Mike Hazen kind of discussed, I think it was at the Eduardo Rodriguez introductory press conference, is that he doesn't want to talk about failed attempts at making a trade for a player. So he doesn't really want to even confirm or deny whether they were pursuing someone in one way or not. Because it's not a good look for you. It's not a good look as a general manager for the public perception to be that you attempted to go after these guys and weren't able to get the deal done. So when it comes to Gallen, it's kind of the same thing. Gallen, he doesn't know of any negotiations going on, because if talks are happening, they're not real serious talks, and those are probably just kind of passing conversations between his agent and the team, if they're even happening. But I think the big thing about it is that at the very least, this team isn't going through years of mediocrity when we're building up to the end of Zac Gallen's tenure, to the point where it might not just be money that he wants, but he also wants to go somewhere and win. He wants to experience that. If this team can compete and be in the playoffs and be a part of the conversation for the next year, 2 years, that could help Zac Gallen want to stay here even more, because that's something that is being satisfied by this team and by the by the play of his teammates, right? So
I mean, I think if the Corbin Carroll extension doesn't actually come to fruition, I wonder if we even ever hear that it was talked about, right? Like that's the kind of thing where if it doesn't happen, you don't really want people to know that you tried to negotiate an extension with your star player and it didn't come to fruition. So that is a fair point. Us not having heard any on the record reports of an extension or of talks of an extension doesn't necessarily mean that they're not happening. I'm inclined to think that they're not happening, but
it just sends the wrong message, like you said with that example of the Corbin Carroll thing, right? It could make the franchise look like they can't get the deal done with a young player, and it could make him look bad, like he's like a diva that doesn't want to sign, he doesn't want to come back, or he doesn't want to do whatever, right? We all understand if Zac Gallen leaves, because the amount of money he'll probably be paid by some other organization when that deal ultimately gets done, if it does get done with another team, will probably be huge, right? It'll probably be enough money that we will go, okay, get the bag, go get that, because
he's just
the
an
Diamondbacks,
exceptionally valuable player,
right?
I mean, as I said earlier, there just aren't guys who hit free agency who have the consistency that Zac Gallen has had. Since Zac Gallen joined the Diamondbacks, he's been an ace level pitcher basically from day one, right? When he comes over from the Marlins, I know he's only pitching about 5 innings a game, but he was really good for the Diamondbacks right away. I know 2021 wasn't a great season for him. There have been some ups and downs. He didn't finish the year all that well. We've talked about that, but there's a reason that he was number 3 on that MLB Network list that we talked about a week or two ago. We're just in an era right now with starting pitchers where there just aren't that many guys who, like, year in, year out, have solidified themselves as Cy Young contenders.
Correct.
And Zac Gallen has done that now for several years in a row and is probably going to stay in that conversation for, the next 2 years before he hits free agency.
Not to mention the fact that this is a guy that we traded away essentially what we thought was going to be our next big superstar on this team. And a guy who has kind of become a big superstar with the Miami Marlins.
He's on the MLB The Show cover, Derek. He must be a superstar.
His stats don't back that up, Jesse. They absolutely do not back that honor up. But I will say that, getting Zac Gallen back, it's like what we were talking about with Erik with the Dalton Varsho, Gabriel Moreno trade. It is one of those trades that somehow has worked out well for both teams. However, if you are a Miami Marlins fan, are you not sometimes looking at Jazz and then looking at Zac Gallen being in the Cy Young race and being like, I'd rather have that guy right now, right? So
it was an interesting question for a couple of years. Like, which guy would you rather have? Now it is no longer an interesting question. Everyone would take Zac Gallen over Jazz Chisholm. There's no question about it.
When he set an MLB record for the most games to start a career with giving up 3 earned runs or less, that right there was, I was like, this is a level of consistency that I don't know if we've ever seen out of anybody, right? Maybe Randy
44
Johnson.
44 and a third scoreless inning streak.
Yeah.
That was pretty good too.
I remember that too. They made a little bobblehead about it.
They did make a bobblehead about it, yes.
We appreciate you guys stopping by. Of course, if you're a diehard, I hope to have seen you last night in our city council meeting. That was very fun. I saw Jesse there. He wanted to just make sure I wasn't saying bad things about him. But make sure you're subscribed, of course. Become a diehard today. You can go to gophnx.com. You'll get to come to all sorts of fun events like our new Squeeze Play game show that I will be hosting. Cogs is going to be our first contestant on there. So
that's trouble.
Got to get 2 more contestants.
That can't go well.
2 more of you will join us on that. And one of you will win your free shirt of your choosing from the PHNXlocker.com. So if you want to participate in that, just keep your eyes peeled for that. But otherwise, make sure you're a diehard in order to get all of this, including all of Jesse's content, access to our Discord lounge, that free shirt that you get for signing up from the PHNXlocker.com. You get a free shirt for every year you're a member as well. You also get access to everything we have over here, including our discounts with our partners and discounts on our events, like our upcoming takeover event at Chase Field in the pool in July. So we're going to be having all sorts of fun. Of course, we need money sometimes to have fun. And a great place to take care of your money is at Desert Financial Credit Union. For more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional service experiences by giving back to their community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. They made my life better by getting me in a home, and they can get you started on your home ownership journey as well. They also have checking and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. So make sure to go to a credit union that's going to take care of you and have your best interests in mind. When you open a free checking account online, you get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. Well, that's all we got. But you know what? We got a little bit more. So make sure to check out our audio-only podcast, which will be dropping tomorrow morning on your audio podcasting feed. You can sign up wherever you get those. Drop us a review, leave us a like. We like all that stuff. But in the meantime, you can also follow us on Twitter. I am at Cap_caveman with a K. This absolute maniac next to me is at Jesse N. Friedman. Damon is the man behind the 1s and 2s over there. You can follow him at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. We are Damon's dogs.
Bark, bark.
Shout out to Pedro, who's back, by the way. Pedro. Good to see you here, man. Good to see all of you. We hope to see you guys back here on Monday for another Mailbag Monday. In the meantime, we appreciate you stopping by today. We thank you for your time. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is so much more fun when you pay Zac Gallen what he is worth.
We all silly like the mayor.